So I don't know which one is considered the sector gear. I'm betting it's, well, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Got a tooth chipped right there. That's not good. One tooth. One tooth that I could see. Why isn't that turning? Alright, let's see. Alright, so that was just a little stiff. Heck, that could be from sitting out there all this time outside. There we go. Piece of cake. Clean that up. This one isn't keyed as opposed to the one that goes over there, so it's kind of a dead giveaway as to, because they are both stepped gears, so they look a little similar as far as that goes. Alright, so now I think if I take this nut off right here, I think I could take this whole banjo. Well, it's not really a banjo, this bracket, is it? Oops. Alright, this one here, we got one nut and one washer. I'm going to keep those together. In fact, I think I'll put those right back on this shaft as soon as I get this bracket off. That way I won't mix them up with the other one. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's as much as I can really take off of there. Now with this all open, I can clean all this up. I just got my pan on the floor underneath there, and I'm just going to go at it with the spray bottle of cleaner and brushes, and we'll pick this up when I'm done. Alright, I got the heavy stuff off and wiped off the oil that was on these shafts to get a better look at them. This shaft right here has got some damage. It's got some scoring marks and that on it. And this is the one that was a little bit stuck. And I think I could see, the problem is that this tube that was on here, which was an oiler, got broken off at some point. It looks like it's clogged with dirt now. And what happens is that this is a hollow shaft and there's a little galley underneath here. I think what I'm going to do is this actually is part of the quick change gearbox. So if I took the quick change gearbox assembly off, this is the whole housing would go with it. If I take that off, I could clean behind here better, but I'm not going to do that because I know that's a big heavy pain in the butt. Plus I got to take the lead screw to do that. The lead screw is going to come out for me to do that, so I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is, there's a nut on the back side right here that I think if I remove that nut, I think I can actually take this shaft completely out. I don't like what I'm seeing here. This is like really smooth polished on this side, and then on this side right here. Wait a minute, does anything ride on there? I don't remember. I already forgot how this went together. Well, that's what we get the video for. I guess nothing rides on here, so that's kind of weird how that's made. You guys probably can't see on the back side here, but on the back side this is all smooth and polished just like this. And on this front side here it's just a rough casting. or it's just rough, I should say. Problem is, if this shaft is really tight, pressed in here tight. Oh, no, it's not. I can feel it already loosening up. Alright. I wasn't going to bother taking this nut off if I couldn't get this out. It's still going to be a little tricky. Got two big washers behind there and the nut to hold this on. Alright, so here's that shaft, and there's that, let me get this into the light here. Here's that little, where that, probably what was a little pipe went on there, broke off. The oil would go down that hollow shaft, would come out this little hole right here that you can barely see because it's clogged, collect in this galley right here, and as that gear was going around, that's what would keep this oiled. You can see this is really rough over here, and there's some bad gouges there. I mean, in a perfect world I would probably make a new one of these shafts, but I don't want to get it all bogged down trying to do that, especially since the lathe that I would want to make it on is probably this one or the Hendy. And this one's closer to running than the Hendy is. This is a quick little brushing, and I cleaned out that galley already. And then I got to clean out. I'm going to try and probably run a pipe cleaner through there. I'm wondering whether or not this, I'm betting this right here threads into this. Alright, I just finished up with the parts washer, and you know, they're not spotless, but I wasn't aiming for that. I just wanted to get the heavy stuff off. And I just cleaned this up, and you can clearly see this galley that's in here. There's the hole. I actually flushed some cleaner through here and had it coming out at a pretty good clip there, but I can still see some crud down in that hole, so I'll work on cleaning that out a little more. But it looks to me like this piece right here may be made separately from this piece. I don't think they turned this down to this. I think this is drilled and tapped. I think this is a stud. It's hollow. And then that looks like it's almost like a brass colored metal. I can't quite see what's fastening that into there. Maybe that's brazed in there or soldered in, I don't know. I tried grabbing it and turning it to see if it would unscrew, and that didn't seem to do anything. But I'm going to probably want to do something to address that at some point. And then I noticed on the bracket here, I'm going to throw a glove on. It's still drip drying. This other shaft right here, it's got the same kind of deal. It's got a galley on the bottom here. It's got a hole. It's hollow. And it's got another one of those things on the end there that looks like it was broken off. I don't think those were supposed to be like that originally. Could be wrong, but I don't know. They just have a look of having something broken off of them that originally they were at the very least a little longer or something. And also I just don't know whether or not they, well, I guess that could have just been open, left open like that, but I would think that's an invitation for dirt to get in there. But maybe that's just how they did it back then. The Hendy's got little tiny stoppers that actually go in the little tubes. It's pretty cool.
Well, good morning, everybody. I say good morning because, well, it's Sunday morning, about 7 a.m. on Sunday morning, April 11th, I think. Anyways, I haven't been able to get down here for a few days. I've been too busy with my regular work and you know, everything else in life. So unfortunately, and it's starting to look like that's going to become more the norm as the spring and summer arrive. So I wanted to get down here before everybody woke up this morning and try and get a little bit something done before I have to head outside and do some outside stuff today. Got some brake pads came in for that little CRF 80 that I picked up for my son. We're going to throw some brake pads in the rear of that. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have my son help me do that. It'll be a little learning experience for him. But anyways, so what I'm trying to do this morning is start reassembling this gear train on the Vernon. These gears cleaned up okay. They could stand to be cleaner, but as far as this little problem over here goes, I thought about a couple of different things. I thought about trying to maybe heat this up and see if this little piece of what looks like pipe would come out of here, and then I could put something else in there. I was thinking, I wonder if I could even, make an adapter. I think that's too small for me to drill and tap to put a grease fitting in. But I was thinking I could make an adapter and then put the grease fitting into the adapter. And then I could pump this with grease. And the grease would squeeze out through the hole here and propagate along this trough and keep this shaft nice and lubricated. But I think what I'm going to do for the time being is I'm going to put this back into service just the way it is. And I'm just going to find myself some sort of an oiler that I can, that'll have a small enough nozzle that will fit right in that hole. Squirt the oil in that way and be done with it, so I can get this back into service. I was recently taken to task by a new viewer. I'm assuming as a new viewer. He may have been viewing for years and just didn't decide to comment until just recently, but he commented, and his first comment was pleasant enough. Thanked him for his comment, but then I guess as he watched some more videos, maybe he changed his opinion. To make a long story short, he pointed out the very correct observation that I have a lot of unfinished projects. But I think what bothered me was the way he conveyed that was as if to say, like, that I never finish projects, that I never finish anything. And I will, I will concede that I have a lot of unfinished projects, but my position is that I don't have, I can't think of any projects that are unfinished right now that I do not have the honest intention of finishing. And part of the problem is that things come along and I just can't pass them up. I mean, this whole Vernon lathe I'm working on right now, my intention wasn't actually to buy this Vernon lathe and fix it up and use it. My intention was to use this as a parts lathe for the Hendy, because it looked so much like a Hendy when I saw the ad. Then I go out there and look at it and realize, well, it's a 14-inch Vernon that looks like a copy of a Hendy. So I can't use the parts from this lathe on the Hendy. But as I look at the lathe, I realize it's a pretty nice lathe. And then, my feeling was, well, the heck with it. I'll just give some low-ball offer on this thing, and if the guy takes it, great. If he doesn't, and it came with a bunch of tooling. You guys have seen the early Vernon lathe videos, you'll know. This thing came with a load of tooling. Anywho, just using the pipe cleaner to try and clean out this. And there is some stuff coming out of there, so let's see if I've got some, yeah, I'm going to get some cleaner on a, cleaner in an aerosol can with a little straw and see if we can't clean that out, flush it out. Alright, seems to all set to go. Oh, so, yeah, so, things just happen. Getting the lathe, and, the Atlas lathe has been finished. Why isn't the Atlas lathe finished? Well, Atlas lathe finished because I need the milling machine to make the support bracket for the lead screw. Then I'll probably get rid of the Atlas lathe. That'll be one less thing around here. Got a few little things here we can wrap up probably. This spring, a little John Deere riding lawnmower. People have asked about that. What happened with that project? Well, I've got all the parts to put the bearings back together. I just really need to weld that part on that area of the deck that's kind of messed up. But maybe now I can turn my attention, now that the weather's warmer outside, the snow has melted, turn my attention to maybe doing a little bit of welding here and there. My neighbor just came over yesterday and he's walking up the street with something in his hands. I jokingly said to him, I says, whatever you're selling, we ain't buying. He laughed and he says, oh, you're going to want these. I realized he was walking up with the two halves of the Hendy pan leg in his hand. Two broken halves of the Hendy pan leg. He's got an outdoor boiler, wood burning, boiler, and that's a big thing. I stuck that in a couple of months ago. I stuck the two pan leg halves, buried it in the hot coals in his boiler, and left it in there so that could just cook away and burn out all of the oil. Cast iron's got a lot of porosity, and anything like that's been coated with a lot of oil over the years, that oil gets into the pores of the cast iron, and when you go to weld the cast iron, that oil is going to bubble out of those pores and it's going to contaminate your weld. So cleaning the surface often isn't going to do it. So I put them in there and I let them bake, and they cooked all winter. And well, not all winter, but I mean, they've been cooking in there for a few weeks, and they're not going to melt. As hot as it gets in there, it's not going to melt cast iron. So he brought them over, and I'm going to have to clean the soot off of them now, but they look nice and dry compared to how oily and greasy they were when I put them in there. So we'll see if we can weld up that pan leg, and then we can do a little bit more work on the Hendy, which I haven't done in a while. Oh, and then even now, I say that I've got too many projects. Even now, with as many projects as I have, I find myself in the recesses of my mind thinking about something I saw yesterday that I just thought there's no way in heck I would consider. But over a year ago, just about a year ago, I went and looked at a Bridgeport milling machine right around the time that I was contemplating buying the Wells Index. I hadn't gone and seen the Wells yet, so I went and looked at this Bridgeport, and this Bridgeport was in pieces, and that's how the guy basically got it from the company that he bought it from. And he had intentions of putting it together. He went through some life changes and things like that resulted in him storing the Bridgeport in pieces in his dad's garage. And he's also got a South Bend lathe in there. Nice one. It's on the cabinet. It's got the lower cabinet that houses the motor with the belt lever down here, and the chip tray built into it. And it's a short, maybe only a 5-foot lathe, and it looks like maybe it's got a 9 or a 10-inch swing. And he's got the collet closer on it, maybe missing a few pieces here and there. He's got a tool post on it, looks like it's an Aloris, a few holders for it. So make a long story short, he's in a situation now where he needs to get this garage cleaned out. So I went out there to see what I could buy for tooling and stuff like that. And he didn't have any measuring stuff really, a lot of the stuff he was keeping. And for himself, for his trade, he had a Kennedy rollaway, intermediate box, top box. Didn't want to sell that. And everything that was in it he didn't want to sell. He had a few spare indicators in another place that we looked at, but I'm loaded with indicators. So we'll do a video on what I picked up there. Got some good deals there. But, he made me a pretty sweet offer on that Bridgeport, and a pretty sweet offer on that lathe. I just don't need another lathe, but that might be something that that might be something I should consider flipping. And then the Bridgeport, you know, needs to be put back together, and there may be some pieces missing because he's moved it twice since he bought it. So that could be an adventure. But I'll tell you, it's hard to get in there and really look at it. The table's got a little bit of damage on it where somebody did an oops. But the ways, chrome ways on it look really good. But I really would need to have my head examined if I end up buying that.